Have you been looking for your favorite dupe for the MAC 242, or maybe you've been looking for an old MAC 242 brush that you just can't find anymore because MAC has switched over to synthetic? Well, if that sounds like you, then stick around because we are getting to it. Is the P21 the true dupe for the MAC 242? Stick around, find out. But before that, I'm Kendra Morgan. I'm Makeup by Casey Morgan, and I like to put together videos on beauty, makeup, and the economics of makeup, getting the best use out of your makeup. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, then consider subscribing to my channel. And let's jump right in. So we're going to be going over the rephr 21 and the MAC 242. The categories that I have defined here that will decide whether or not this brush actually dupes it or not, or is a replacement, more or less, because we no longer have the MAC 242, will be measurement of the bristles, the quality of the brushes made, and whether or not we are actually comparing the same type of brush. So comparing the apples to apples here. So are we comparing a synthetic to a synthetic natural bristle mix, a 3 to a 2B, or excuse me, a 2A to a 3. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to link that in the eye and down below my brush classification video. Go take a few minutes, go watch it, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Rephr is a brand that has recently launched brushes that are made in Japan. They are a great replacement to the MAC line that used to be prior to 2016. But before I get too far into it, I know I launched a video previous to this on the rephr brush review. I put a lot of time into it, but I did not do enough research, and I just kind of want to clear the air on a couple things that I stated. I did state that I wasn't able to find any of the brush bristle types for Sonia G or Wayne Goss, and while I haven't found anything for Wayne Goss, Sonia G on her website does actually specify what types of brush hairs that you are getting when you buy the individual brushes. On Beautylish, it doesn't state it, but if you actually go to her website, you can find the types of brush hair, whether it's goat and then what grade of goat that is, because again, these are handcrafted by Japanese artisans, so they do grade the brush hairs that they use. Okay. Also, I do want to clarify the air with the rephr brand. They do actually have a little statement on their frequently asked questions section, and I had read it once, but I didn't read it close enough, and I kind of spaced it off, if you will, you know, whatever. But anyways, they do, and I've got some notes down here, so if I'm looking down, it's because I want to read verbatim what they wrote. And the types of bristles that they use are soft generally. They use type 1, they use a mixture of type 2 and type 3. So if you guys don't know what types we're talking about, I'll go through them real quick. Type 1 is the thickest. It's basically what most of the brushes are made out of. I don't need to mention any names, but you know what I'm saying. The cheaper ones that you can afford, they're in your affordable range. That's my 2B section of brushes. Those are your type 1 hairs. They are great for depositing colors, and based on that, I'm guessing it's like the shoulder or the forefoot that they're talking about. So it's the Haku Tatsuho. That's probably not pronounced correctly, but I will put the word down here. Okay, so type 2 is the Sokoho, which is pigmented and extremely soft, and the Saikoho, which is the softest goat hair, is thinner in diameter. Its trade-off is not as much pigmentation and precision. So like I said before, guys, some of these brushes that you guys, you know, they're so incredibly soft and they're so wonderful, but they're not going to pack on a lot of products. So that wouldn't necessarily be the type of brush you'd want to use for blending in eyeshadow, or you'll be there for a day and a half and your event will came and went. So I'm assuming that people like these Morphe brushes mainly because they probably do pack a lot of punch when it comes down to it, but they are extremely scratchy to the eye, so it's not something I even reach for or even will stack in my my brush roll when I do clients, unless I know I've got over 8 clients. I won't even touch my Morphe brushes and put them in my brush panel. But anyways, I digress. Type 1 is the most common on the market, And it's cheap, delivers adequate performance, so that's going to be what most of your brushes are. Now, people who are enjoying an experience of makeup, the brand does state they have decided to, this is verbatim, they have decided to calibrate each brush using their own custom blends of types 2 and 3. It allows us to function on design, intent of each brush, and maximize its performance without unnecessary sacrifices on softness. So anyways, there's the rebuttal to whether or not rephr does talk about their brushes. Now, I know they do vaguely mention the types, and it is because it is between the artisan and what I'm trying to say here, it's all subjective. What one artisan classifies as a type 2, another artisan may classify as a type 3. So basically what I'm trying to say here is you're getting some really good quality brushes, and you're not getting really trashy quality brushes. Now that that's over with, let's talk about the rephr21. So I did actually contact rephr about this brush exclusively. They currently, at the time that I'm filming this, it is Tuesday, May 12th, and I've reached out to them. I emailed them asking about a P21. So it is one of their prototype brushes. It is not yet in production. So my email states, thanks so much for selling me a P21. So I actually was able to buy one. They created a shopping link and sold me a brush through that. I asked if they would answer some questions. Will this brush be put into production and sold on the rephr website? And if so, when will the planned production take place? Number 3, does the team plan to make any changes to the prototype before putting brush into production? And any other pieces of information you could fill the viewers in on, and if the brush is not planned for production, what is the contingency? So basically, what will you do to replace this brush because we need it, you know, that kind of thing. It took them a couple days, but Tom Sheen from rephr, Tom with a lowercase t, I kind of like that. He says, thank you so much for your inquiry. This brush is currently in production and should be available in the near future, excuse me, most likely in the summer. We haven't made any changes on the brush 21 for the current production as it was already iterated several times. We will let you know ASAP when it is available on our website. Best, Tom. I was a little bit put off by the word iterated. I was, you know, so I think what I gather from this is they've already put it into production and they've already made several batches, whatever. Anyway, the brush is being made. It's going to be released this summer, so I'm going to do my best to get this video up and edited for you guys in the near future, and that way you can tell whether or not you're going to want this brush when it comes. And then hopefully I'm going to get like a lot of views and you know, like be successful. That's the idea, right? So grabbed a couple pictures. Let's go ahead and talk about the type of brush. A lot of people think that the MAC 242 brush is a synthetic brush. I can assure you it is not a synthetic brush. The MAC 242S is right here. It's, oops, excuse me, right there. This, no, not the same. This is not synthetic, this is. This is a mixture of synthetic and natural bristle brush goat hair. That's why it picks up product so well and it places it on the eyelid, because it picks up product due to the natural hair nature, and then it swipes on that product so well, aka those shimmers that we all like to use with this brush, and distributes those because the synthetic kind of also places that product so well. It doesn't hang on to the product. The rephr brush, I don't know much about it. I asked, he was pretty vague. That's pretty typical for an engineer. Plus they don't know my intentions, and I completely understand something like that. But anyways, this type of brush appears to be the same exact kind. And I'm gonna flash some pictures up on the screen. Take a look, have a little look-sees. They look exactly the same hair type, the same synthetic nature and quality. The measurements. Let's talk about measurements. Measurements, pretty spot on. The width was the only thing that I was able to grab with my caliper and show you guys a picture. because I can't really hold and, you know, snap pictures. You get the drill. It's a mess if I try and do something like that. But the width is 9 millimeters for the rephr, and I got a little titch over 9 millimeters on the Mac 242. So really just like splitting hairs at this point. Like I would say they're basically the same. Height wise, again, this is going to be difficult because I'll show you how I measured. And somebody in the comments, let me know if there's a better way to do it. But basically I just kind of stood it there and just, so I got 11.2 with the r21, and the Mac 242 gets 12.2 millimeters. So basically 11 and 12. So you're talking a millimeter's worth of difference. They boast the same thickness at 3 millimeters, guys. So right here, this part, when you clamp it, both at 3 millimeters. I have some really good footage that I grabbed. I kind of have been acquiring this footage. I took and added some shadow to the lid with the rephr brush and the Mac brush. I'm going to go ahead and insert that footage and just give you a little talksies about that. So when you apply the shadow, first off, I started with the brushes dry and just picked up the product and placed it on my lids. Okay. Next, I did a wet application. So I added a little spritzy schmitzy, if you will, of some setting spray. Actually, I think it's just a facial mist. And then I grabbed some more product and placed it on the lid. Both apply beautifully, both apply very similarly. No issues whatsoever from either one of them. No fallout. Then I also wanted to put these guys to the test because I know I didn't want to just use the same medium across the board and show you like 6 different applications of shimmer on the lid. So I grabbed some glitter glue. I got some Anastasia glitter glue left from when my kids dumped it out. Applied that sucker all over the lid using both brushes. So I think I started out with the rephr brush. I started out with the Mac brush and applied it on the lid. Then I applied some glitter to this look. Again, no problems. You see it picking up product from the dish, the canister, the tube of glitter, if you will, and applies it beautifully. Along with the rephr, there's no difference really in application-wise how these brushes work. So, in conclusion, let's talk about this. The rephr p21 is going to be the r21 when it launches. It's going to launch this summer sometime. Do you need this brush in your life? Absolutely. If you don't own a true Mac 242 brush, that's the brush I'm going to tell you need to own, because there is no other brush on the market currently that is also made by a Japanese artisan with the same types of hair and the same everything else. The only differences are that the rephr brush is a smidge shorter, it's maybe like a ½ inch shorter. Doesn't boast a double crimp ferrule, but I do believe these are nickel plated brass at the very least, because I don't know somebody that would put together a good quality brush and not put a good ferrule on it. So I might be like assuming some stuff here, but I think it's a safe assumption. This is absolutely the brush I would recommend, and I think you should pick it up. When it launches in the summer of 2020, go out, get yourself this brush. It's the dupe to the Mac 242. And I want to just state, this doesn't really get much of my vote, but the Mac 242S brush, it was put together by a clown. Basically looks like a blending brush almost. Let me just look at that. Just a little on the embarrassing side. I was told that the Mac 242S brush, and I've seen Alex, Anil or Anil, whatever, I don't know how to pronounce my last name. Sorry, Alex. Like she'd ever watch this anyways. She used a Mac 242S brush. My friend has a 242S brush, and it doesn't look like this, but I can't get a hold of any other ones. I'm not going to waste my time ordering another brush. Let me just put that to you. They're $25 a piece. The rephr is going to market for $24, or at least that's how much I paid for mine. And the Mac 242 used to market for $25. So with that in mind, This is the most perfect dupe you will ever find. I'm gonna say it. You need this brush if you don't already own the MAC 242, and it is basically the reason that I said in my previous video on the rephr brush review, I'll go ahead and link that in the eye and down below, that bridge. Rephr bridged that gap between MAC and, you know, they filled a gap basically because there was no other brand that was making those brushes. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you liked this content, make sure you give me a little thummy and you know, watch a couple of other videos. I'll just start linking stuff in the eye and down below because I can, and I want you to stay on my channel. If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. I can't wait to see you guys in my next video.